So we've talked about power and equity in cities. In many ways, I guess urban issues reflect larger national trends, just more concentrated and amplified. This can feel pretty intense. But on the flip side, this same concentration can breed alternative ideas to challenge the status quo. Are cities where we figure this all out? I asked everyone what they thought.
The suburban has just become a vacuum. Look at the architecture. So if architecture, expresses the dreams of mankind, then what's a strip mall? Do you know what I mean? I'm getting to this moral question that you're raising. Yeah. Right, so now we're expressing this and we have a strip mall. Yeah. Right, so it's just lost, and there is no, in my mind, any moral compass left there. I could direct you to some intersections to go to, and you would sit there and go, my God, who are we? Do you know what I mean? Like, what are we?
As we spend more time thinking about what really makes us happy and what's a fulfilling life, I think cities are a winner. Like, I think cities can provide a lot of different kinds of experience. Like, just think about food alone. In the little town that I grew up in, it was like revolutionary when a Japanese restaurant opened, and that was the only thing in town that was not of that place, that was like, ooh, this exotic cuisine or something. When I was growing up, I was like, sushi, whoa, I had that in New York once, it's so exciting. Like, that's a whole generation of kids that aren't exposed to anything outside of what they're what comes from their world. And when you look at food in cities as a way for people to come together and experience different cultures and meet different people and learn different histories.
Diversity is directly tied to that as well, right? So the whole notion of white flight and trying to get away from something and then realizing wait, that was pretty special, and what's happening in cities is because you have this incredible food truck scene, right? That's happening all over. I'm so happy that the biggest beneficiaries of this are businesses that are largely minority owned and led by women.
They're also just places to have fun, and pleasure is an important part of cities. When I think of cities, sometimes I think of that kid who grew up, let's say in the projects or in the suburbs, doesn't really matter. But maybe they read a book one day about some famous jazz singer or something, and they made a special track to go to the club that person first performed, and they are suddenly introduced to this whole new world that's bohemian and intellectual or artistic and creative, and maybe that kid realizes, oh shit, I might be gay. My favorite thing of cities is because they're so large and because they're so diverse, there's this beauty of anonymity where you get to find yourself.
I think cities have been fantastic in leading the way for progressive change in this country, right? You see great things happen in cities, which ultimately leads them happening in states, which then tends to lead to national legislation in support of. I think marriage equality is a good example of that. And it's almost a domino effect. You're seeing legalization and the decriminalization of drugs, being another example of that, and looking at mass incarceration, but it's cities taking a look first.
I'm excited about this generation's resistance to the status quo. I'm very excited about all of these protests. I'm excited about the way in which they're doing it, using social media, using all of these really creative means to resist the status quo. I'm excited. I'm ecstatic about it. There's so much promise in that. That means that they're not satisfied. That means that they want more, and they're not gonna accept what is happening laying down. I think that young people have this. I think they'll be able to turn this around.
Every city has its traumas, and it's interesting how people come together, and I think cities get stronger on balance through those traumas. It's not all about good sort of feel-good stuff. We have various moments in the city's history that remain scars. But I think those things have also produced conversation, awareness, change that has had a positive effect, as negative as some of those events were.
I think we're at a very pivotal time for that. I think that we could look back and be very proud of this moment. So that's, to me, the great tension and also the great opportunity of cities, the individual and then the collective, like coexisting.
When we become aware of communities, it's like a tree, and you say, oh wow, the leaves are the most important thing. Well, okay, but the bark is, hey, well, that's really, but the roots, well, that, yeah, that's. So a community has all these different parts. You need all the parts. The people at the fringe, you don't say, hey, you're not participating enough, you need to get to the core. Do you know what I mean? To me, naturally, you have all these different parts.
The great hope that exists within cities is the diversity that exists within cities. All these different ideas and perspectives and experiences mean greater chances at developing ideas to actually address these issues. Like a young person who's maybe never had access to certain things is going to have a different perspective on how to solve the problem regarding access to that thing. But the young person who is in that position, who is working alongside a young person that has been exposed to all kinds of things, like those two heads together, I mean, they can generate all kinds of new ideas and solutions.
The biggest thing that gives me hope about cities is that increasingly new generations of people seek and appreciate and value difference, and want to live in places that are not homogeneous and where they get exposed to different worlds.
We're building our cities of the future right now. And those have to be built in a sustainable way, or this is just not going to make sense. We're going to have to rebuild them again.
I won't stop fighting until we get there. And I know I'm not alone. So yeah, I am optimistic.
From